All right, welcome back, everybody. And the biggest question that we have today is why in the world Huang Bowen is still upset. I don't know why he's still mad at me, right? He was mad at me before because of the North Korean player that we signed who he thought was going to come eat his lunch. And we've been playing him and playing him. He's rested for a little while because he was sick. He had the flu. But he's back in action now as soon as he's healthy again, and he's still upset. His morale is still low. I mean, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to solve that problem, right? I don't know. I'm not the one who made him sick. I'm not the one who really made him upset. He's just kind of throwing a fit for no real reason. So that's the big question today, which is can we get him happy again? Can we get him back to the place that he really needs to be at? And we are taking on Beijing Renhe today, which is one of probably the four or so teams in this league that theoretically could beat us. Pak Myung-sung into Para. Para has the crossover to Hanjin over to Huang Bowen and ends up with Mr. Kwon Hyo-kyu over to Pak Myung-sung. Got that South to North Korean connection there, and Pak Myung-sung doesn't know where he is on the field, ends up just kicking that one straight out. I noticed that with the new update, the ad boards are back, so we're going to have to fix that one up. Para now takes it from Huang Bowen. Para and looking for the cross, and the ball is taken right off of him. Over to Paulson, back to Torres. Back to Paulson. Over to Mr. Kwon, back to Torres, and back to Paulson. We're still looking for some sort of opening. And I mean, we do have, and there you go, he finds Calvo there in midfield. I was going to say, we have guys wide open in midfield. You just pass it up. Pak Myung-sung now over to Para, and Para is goal number 24. And I'm telling you, Luciano is an amazing, amazing goal scorer for this team. I mean, this has just been incredible this season. The sort of time that he has had, he just is scoring goals for fun. He's scoring goals in just about every game that he's out there, and he scores hat tricks like it's nobody's business. And I mean, that was just easy. The defense is behind him. Pak Myung-sung has clearly taken the ball forward enough to get him on side, and I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it. Poor defending by Beijing Renhe, and looks like it's going to wind up being another win for Yanbian FC, but we should be careful before we count this too quickly. Here's Calvo now with the corner. And Calvo goes back, winds up, and fires, and cannot find Para crossing in. And it ends up with a potential counterattack for Beijing Renhe. And Zhang Yongzhi is sort of walking the ball up the field like he doesn't really know what he's doing. And it looks like they finally sort of get control of it. But no, there's Para with the interception, and he's just going to take this himself. And there's goal number 2 for him. 2 goals in the space of 12 minutes. And man, that second goal was an absolute blast. I mean, he put that into the top corner of the goal, and he did it with authority. And he made it look like it was the easiest thing in the world to do. Just look at this. Boom. Jiao Tianzi, the Beijing Renhe goalie, is in good position, is in the right place, but he's not going to stop that one. I mean, that one's coming about 80 miles an hour right at your face. And Beijing Renhe have the ball again, and we have yet another highlight in the early going, which tells me that we may be scoring again. 2 goals here in the early going for Para, and he almost gets the interception there. I guess that's not Para there on that side. I'm trying to see who it is. The game won't tell me. Here's Fanshang now with the ball. Fanshang over to Paulson, over to Mr. Kwon. Kwon Hyo-kyu takes it forward, over to Para, and we send it back to Torres, and we sort of slow it down a little bit. Pak Myung-sung now over to Calvo. You're probably wondering where Lee Jin-young is. Well, he's in South Korea because he felt like he didn't sort of fit in Yenji. And it's kind of a shame, really. I would rather have Lee Jin-young in there along with Mr. Kwon, but we have to give him his rest, make sure he stays happy. And Huang Bowen had sort of an attempt at a shot there, as we see on that replay, but just not quite going his way. Beijing Renhe now take the ball back, and it's knocked forward, and this time our defenders are unable to get ahead on it, and it looks like they may have some sort of scoring opportunity, and fortunately for us, the shot is nowhere, I mean, even in the remote range of the goal. Here's Pak Myung-sung now with the ball, takes it forward, and Xiao Shu, and defense is able to take it off of him. Rico has a shot from range. Rico has not gotten a lot of starts lately, in part because he keeps doing stuff like that. So we'll play him once in a while, but I'm not convinced that he's really ready to play at this level. It's one of those players that you sign and they look pretty good at the beginning, and then your team becomes good enough so that he really doesn't fit in. Paulson now gets it back from Torres. Back to Torres now. Torres back to Paulson, and we're just sort of resting, and then Paulson's sort of trying to force the issue. They're looking for Para, can't find him. Our strikers are not quite that tall. Parra, though, is able to use his speed to work that ball off, and now he's got Huang Bowen here for what should normally be an easy goal, and it looks like there was a defender getting a foot on that, so it is a corner for us. I was about to criticize Huang Bowen for not being able to score what was really a sitter, as they say. Torres now with that shot on goal, and that almost found its way in. Take a quick look at the replay here. As we can see, Parra was taking it up and forward, and Huang Bowen had a fairly good angle, but it's a little bit clearer from that angle. It was knocked off course by the defender. We have another free kick here, and it's Calvo taking it forward. He waits for a second, kicks it up to Torres, who has a clear shot on goal, and I think that one actually crossed the line. Now, there's the flag up for Paulson, who they say was offside. There's no goal line technology here, but I think that probably was actually a goal. Huang Bowen now takes it back and forward to Parra, and this is going to be the hat trick right here. Parra scores a hat trick in 32 minutes, and that was always going to come. Huang Bowen with the assist, and as the game is telling us down below, it really is a really impressive performance for us here on the road. Not much of a crowd here in Beijing for this match, and I think it's mostly because people already knew what the outcome was going to be before the game was even played. But Parra with a very, very impressive hat trick here in the first half, and we're just sort of gliding along, aren't we? Now let's see if we can keep the pressure up instead of what's been happening in recent games where we've sort of dialed the pressure down in the second half, and we haven't been playing up to our abilities. Let's see what we can do. Kwon Hyo-kyu over to Hanjin, up to Huang Bowen. Okay, you got to score here, and Huang Bowen does score. It's number 17 of the season for him, and hopefully that'll make him feel a little bit better to be able to get on the list of scorers there. I mean, this is just an absolute beautiful ball up from Hanjin. And Huang Bowen just is all day long in acres of space, clearly onside. And I mean, it's easy. It's easy, man. And he makes it look easy. And then he does his little dance at the end. 4-0 for Yanbian FC. And as I told you, this is one of the teams that, in theory, could be able to beat us. But we all know that that's not going to happen. That's not in the cards. We're always going to win. We were always going to win this match. And we'll see how long we can keep this going. Beijing Renhe now with what appears to be some sort of attack, but it is Fanshang over to knock it free. Fanshang has taken up an injury. We're going to keep him on until halftime and then see what's going on. Rico able to use that little Mexican flair to keep that one in. Over to Park Myung-sung. Back to Calvo, working in slowly Calvo, and now instead he takes a shot, and that hits the top of the woodwork and knocks out over the top of the goal. It ends up looking better than I thought it was going to, so I mean, I'm not necessarily upset with him taking that shot, but it was probably better for him to work that up slowly. We're going to put Zhang Jianyi on for Fanxiang, who is injured, and as you can see, Parra already has a 10 for today. Huang Bowen is on an 8.2, so he's also having a really good game. Nobody's having a poor game, and we'll just keep on rolling here into the second half. So much for the idea that the new match engine is going to destroy the tactic, right? I know that there are going to be a lot of people complaining about that one on the forums, but as you can see here, it's not always the case. If you're having a hard time, there might be other reasons for it. Let's see what we get here. Let's see if we get another highlight here in a second. 2.15 is our XG to their 0.04, which came from that shot that was about 10 rows deep. And here's Calvo now with the corner. And he winds up and kicks. And looking for Parra, I guess it ends up back to Calvo. And the shot comes from Park Myung-sung and is blocked. So that was a little bit unusual, I suppose. Not exactly the result that I was expecting from that one. And we just sort of keep slowly moving forward, and we're waiting and waiting for another highlight here. And this is kind of what's been happening here in recent matches, where we get a big lead, we get to the second half, and then the opposing team is either parking the bus or I don't know what's going on. You can see Beijing Renhe was switched up to a slightly more attacking formation as they're just trying desperately for anything. We should be able to tear into them. Torres now back to Paulson, and we're just sort of holding the ball. Over to Mr. Kwon, over to Hanjin. Back to Paulson again, so we reset it. Back to Mr. Kwon. We're going to try it again, this time on the side to Zhang Jianyi, who's got Hanjin right there, finds him. Back to Zhang Jianyi, looking for a real cross. Back to Hanjin. And Zhang Jianyi finally gets across, and it goes to Calvo, who has kind of a wild shot at it, and luckily it's deflected and goes out of bounds. I think that was going to go out of bounds anyway. Paulson takes the corner here for us. Up to Torres, and he hit it with his hand. Went into the goal anyway, but no, that was a handball, clearly. And we're still looking for something here in the second half. It looks like another one of these performances where we just sort of stop trying. Park Myung-sung up to Para, and he is the goalie way out of position, tries a shot from a crazy angle, and fortunately for us, it's blocked. There's no way he was going to score from back there. But that was an excellent offensive effort by us to get the goalkeeper to go way, way out of position in no man's land. Huang Bowen now takes the remnant of that corner over to Calvo, back to Huang Bowen. Huang Bowen back to Park Myung-sung, and that ends that highlight. And it's been quiet again for us in the second half. I mean, we're not going to complain with a 4-0 win on the road, but you do feel like we could be doing a little bit better with some of these matches. Mr. Kwon now looking for Han Jin. That ball's not very well passed. Back to Huang Bowen now, and he shoots it across to Para, who's fouled on the play, and unfortunately for us, there is no call. Park Myung-sung now, and he's going to not take the chance at a cross. Instead, kicks it back to Calvo, who takes a shot from range that again bounces off that top bar. We need to figure out a way to teach Calvo to stop aiming for the top bar. He gets that a little bit lower. He would have had two goals in this game. And you can see Gustavo Rico is having a 6.3, having a real howler of a match. And, I mean, it doesn't really matter as we have the 4-goal lead, but it's something I'm going to be paying attention to once we get our new transfers in. And Rico has a completely ridiculous cross to Han Jin, who somehow manages to head it in for a goal. That cross had no business turning into a goal. I mean, you look at this on the replay. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is just completely crazy. So it's not a great pass forward, and Rico just sort of crosses it over, and it floats in the air forever. Han Jin has 2 men on him and somehow is able to, looks like he grabs on and climbs onto the shoulders of one of them to get around to that header and just heads it straight in. 5-0 for us. And, oh, man, Mr. Kwon just saved Hoyu's lunch there by preventing that goal from scoring. And I kind of wanted to see more of the buildup of that attack by Beijing Renhe, because that's the first real attack they've had all game, and I don't even know if they got a real shot on goal out of it. Paulson over to Calvo now, back to Zhang Jianyi, and this is going to be the end of the match here. Back to Paulson to Calvo, looking forward to Rico again, and Rico has another one of those sort of crazy little floater crosses over to Huang Bowen, who can't do anything with it, as you would expect for a floater cross that sort of hangs in the air for an eternity. And I don't know. I don't know about this Rico guy, Gustavo. I don't know how much longer we're going to hold on to him. Torres now has it there in the back. Torres plays it up, looking again for Rico, who has no position. The man beats him, and that was just a bad pass from Torres. I mean, no point even trying that. Paulson there able to clean up some of that garbage back to Torres. And, I mean, at this point, we can just sort of hold on to it and kind of relax a little bit. Para was offside, I suppose. It shows you just how high up that Beijing Renhe defensive line is playing. I mean, they're playing like way up here, almost to midfield, which might not be a good thing when you're behind 5-0. And in the end, it doesn't really matter. We win 5-0. That's the end of that match. And Huang Bowen did get his 1 goal and an assist, which is a good match for him. We'll see if that helps with his unhappiness or not. And we'll see you tomorrow, and take care.